My name is Suzanne Creever. I'm a careers consultant. I've been at the university for many, many years, most of that time working with biological science students and supporting you to get work experience and to find options for after you graduate. I'm also joined by Claudia. Do you want to say hello, Claudia?
Hello, everyone.
Claudia is the careers advisor for the biology, medicine and health team and specifically works to support biological science students. We're also joined today as well by a couple of guests. One of those is Alana Bramble, who is a current student here at the university, who got some research experience over the summer. And we're also joined by Will Howe, who is a graduate from biological sciences, who got work experience as a student over the summer and now is working for the same company as well. So what we hope to do today is give you some inspiration and some insight into what you could do with your summer and to hear from people who've actually done it to encourage you and give you the confidence to participate. What we're going to cover today, we're going to look at 4 areas where you can find opportunities to get work experience. We're going to be looking at summer internships, and those might be the kind of experience you might be able to get with a larger company, sometimes smaller companies, formal opportunities to get work experience as undergraduate students. We're also going to look at something called summer research studentships. These are particularly exciting for you if you are thinking about doing a PhD or just want to increase your research experience. There are lots of opportunities to do this in the UK as a biological science student, and we'll tell you a little bit more about those and how to find them. We're also going to talk about job search strategies because although there's lots of opportunities out there which you might want to apply for, there might be something in particular that you want to do. And we'll talk about different ways that you can find those opportunities, target organisations and back yourself some kind of work experience. And we're also going to talk all the way through about the action that you need to take to make it all happen. So lots of tips, advice and links to enable you to go out there and find some good work experience. So I hope you're going to find that useful. So first of all, what we're going to do is introduce our panel to you, Alana and William, and get them to tell you a little bit more about what they did. So I'm going to okay, so what we'll do first of all is ask Alana just to introduce herself to you.
Hi guys, I'm Alana, Lani, my nickname, and I'm now my 3rd year of cognitive neuroscience and psychology. And then I did a summer internship. It was a scheme with the university, and I basically worked independently under supervision from a professor, and I researched PhD students' mental health and sort of compared standard medication to complementary and alternative therapies. And I essentially just wrote a literature review. I did the research, wrote a literature review, and produced a 2-page blog. And this was about an 8-week paid internship with the university.
Okay, thank you for that, Lani. And you'll find out a bit more about what Lani's done as we go through, because as we present the slides to you, Will and Lani are going to be chipping in with tips and advice as well. Okay, so I'm just going to ask Will just to introduce himself to you.
Hey guys, I'm Will. I hope you're all well. I'm a scientist at a small biotech called Avacta. We basically make therapies to treat solid tumors. And I basically did a summer internship here between my 3rd and my 4th year at Manchester. So I did my undergrad as a biomedical scientist, and then I did a master's in epigenetics, which was mainly looking at throat cancer. And I remember, like a lot of you, I tried really hard to get a year in industry. I'm not sure if many of you were in the same boat, but I remember feeling, encouraged to get a year in industry because that would put you in a good stead for once you leave university. And I remember feeling that kind of pressure. However, after trying so hard, working really hard to prepare for interviews, going to a lot of interviews, and essentially not getting the success I was looking for, I gave up. And I decided to go on to the master's because I had that opportunity to swap at that point onto a different 4-year course. However, I always knew I wanted to get some work experience somehow, so I didn't really stop trying. And I managed to get myself a self-arranged summer internship, essentially through trying to reach out to as many people as I could. This would either be through emails, LinkedIn, people I knew, and of course, a lot of the time it didn't get anywhere and I would get bounced back. But sometimes they'd let you find out about another person or another opportunity. And how my opportunity actually came about is, like you guys, maybe many of you can relate. I was literally out socializing in Sheffield and I met a girl who turned out to have a relative that worked in biotech. So of course I jumped on that opportunity. I asked for his email. We exchanged a few emails. We had a video call. He said I left a good impression. And then before you knew it, I was having other video calls with his colleagues to set up a summer working at the company. And never did I ever think that that would end up me getting a job at the same company, but it was only 6 weeks. It was paid, which was great. And it opened the door really for the rest of my career. So quite surreal to look back on it, but thankful that it happened. And yeah, I think you guys are in a really good position with the department helping you out to try and get you some work after uni.
Okay, thank you for that, Will. Okay, so what I'm going to do is nip back to the slides again. So when it comes to finding work experience, some of you in the room might be second year students, we might have some first years in the room, we might have some finalists or postgraduates. No matter what stage you're at, there are kind of 4 periods in the year when different things happen when it comes to finding work experience. So in the autumn semester, now, this is when there's lots of activity with big companies starting their recruitment. Lots of big companies sometimes advertise formal work experience alongside their graduate opportunities. So when they come into campus to careers fairs, they're looking for graduates, but also looking for work experience students as well. So it's not unusual for you to go along to these events and find that the company's got a whole range of opportunities that they're advertising. Now, they might come on campus to fairs, but they might do this on their own websites as well. So peak time, this time of year is for the big companies. As we progress towards December and the winter, still bigger organisations are recruiting, but also this is the time of year when summer research studentships really come alive, and we'll tell you more about those in this talk. So at that time of year, you might find yourself making applications to get bursaries to undertake research projects in research organisations or university departments. As we move into spring, there are opportunities to get experience that come around. This is also the time of year when the university offers its work experience bursary programme. So we manage that at the Careers Service. So if you organised your own work experience, like Will did, you'd be able to apply for a bursary which might contribute towards your travel costs in order to undertake that work experience. And also at this time of year, this is when smaller companies often start to think about recruiting placement students or internship students over the summer, because they don't need as long a lead time because they're not recruiting as many people. And even in the summer, there's still things going on. So really, right now is about the big companies moving into these research studentships, but there's still activity through that you can take in order to find work experience. So let's start with summer internships and formal work experience schemes. So what are these and how do you find them? So this might be anything from 2 days through to 2 months in 2 months in time. In terms of the shorter placements, some patents firms, I think Marks and Clark is one of them, offer a 2-day summer internship scheme, which is often very popular. And companies offer these often as part of their recruitment strategy, because it gives them a chance to interview you over the summer, but also gives you a chance to find out more about their opportunities as well. So the formal schemes tend to be with the larger organisations, the larger companies. Big companies start early, smaller companies, SMEs, small to medium size enterprises start a bit later. Now, in the UK, most of these formal summer internships are aimed at penultimate year students. That means that you need to be in the year before graduation. Some of them, MSci students, might be flexible if you have 2 potential summers before your final year. And some of these companies as well offer spring insight programs for first years as well. So they're always worth looking out for as well. Now, this could be anywhere. It could be in the UK, it could be overseas. It all depends on the host organisation. The best way to find these kind of opportunities is to go straight to the organisations themselves, because if they're going to be advertising them anywhere, it will be on their websites. And another good strategy is to look for them on social media. If you find organisations' websites, what you'll often find on there are details of people who work for them, but also people who might have done a placement with them or internship with them in the past. So really start to think about where you want to work and target those organisations now. CareerConnect, another great way to find opportunities as well. We are a targeted university. We advertise work experience placements on there. If we have any second years in the room who came to the talk in Welcome Week, you'll know that Elizabeth, she found out about the Wellcome Trust biomedical internship at Edinburgh because it was advertised on CareerConnect. So again, that should be in your arsenal of possible search tools when you're looking for these kind of opportunities. Another place to look to find them can be looking at job profiles. Now, on the Career Service website, we have the Which Career pages, and they have information about different career areas, and contained on that page are sources of work experience and places to look for opportunities. There are also specific targeted recruitment sites you can look at, graduate recruitment sites, which advertise graduate jobs, but they also advertise internships and placements too. Popular ones include Prospects, Target Jobs, and GradCracker, which is specifically aimed at STEM students. But also, as well as looking online for these, you might find them on campus. We're in the middle of career fair season at the moment. We had the STEM fair last week. We've got the autumn careers fair in a couple of weeks' time. And again, those are opportunities to maybe find out about organisations, to understand a bit more about their opportunities, and to be encouraged to make applications to them. Now, obviously, there's lots of information on this on the Career Service website, which you can find from that QR code there as well to get you started with this process. So lots of advertised opportunities which are going on at the moment. So just to kind of give you a taster, I went on to CareerConnect earlier on to see what's on there for our bioscience students. And these are some examples of roles which are being advertised right now. So at the moment, Roche, the big pharmaceutical company, are advertising for their summer internship within their product development and quality, their PDQ team. And if you're interested in laboratory work, that might be something you might want to aim for. If maybe you don't enjoy lab work quite so much, then there are lots of medcoms companies that also offer summer internships, and Constellar Medical are one of them. There's an organisation called Health Data Insights CIC, which are currently advertising a summer internship. Those of you who are interested in sports and consultancy, then Porters Consulting have an internship for their Accelerate programme as well. Those of you who are thinking, well, I like biology, but what else can I do? This is the time of year really when lots of the business services companies and the investment banks all tend to advertise their programmes. So Goldman Sachs, they're advertising some of their internships. The employability internships will be of particular interest to you if you have a disability or long-term health condition. And then, to give a completely random example, Tesco at the moment are advertising all sorts of paid internships as well. I want you to look at these. I want you to look at the deadlines, because if you plan on applying for a formal internship, be aware that you might be filling in application forms in the next few weeks. In fact, you could even be interviewed before Christmas. So be aware of that if you are looking to apply for big internships. The other thing I would say as well is that some of these companies recruit on a rolling basis. So they don't all wait until the 2nd of December or the 5th of November to review applications. Some will review them as they go along. And if they get enough applications, they might stop recruiting. So don't leave it too late. get in there early. That is my advice. I've also included a link down here if you're interested in working in health. The NHS has a really useful page on its website which has details on its work experience opportunities, and that also includes links to live roles as well. So that's worth checking out if you're thinking about NHS experience. So as well as careers opportunities being advertised on CareerConnect, what you'll also find on CareerConnect are details of all our events. So it's really worth having a mooch around the site to find out any opportunities which might be relevant to you. So I picked out a few examples here. Now, sometimes when employers come on campus, they like to tempt you in to come and have a chat with them. So usually there's something else on offer apart from spending time with them. So this week, on the 15th of October, so tomorrow, NatWest Group are offering an interactive event on campus. Apparently they're bringing a doodle artist with them. Maybe you got to do some big presentations this year and want to find ways to make it more interesting or a little bit different. You could perhaps get some tips from the doodle artist. But what these opportunities do is give you a chance to talk face-to-face with employers and to find out, what do I think about this company? What do I think about working there? Is it for me? And if you do decide you want to apply, you've got the foundation there for a really good answer when they ask you, why do you want to apply for us? Because you can relate back to your experience chatting to them on campus. So a few more examples there. Teach First, one of the many organisations who'll be hanging out outside University Place with a coffee cart. Ernst & Young apparently have their adventure with prizes. And if you're interested in sustainable careers, IEMA. So this isn't a recruitment event, this is more of a careers information event, but IEMA are the professional body for environmental management and assessment, and they're doing a sustainable careers workshop in November. As well as stuff on campus, there's stuff online. Here's some examples here. I highlighted Novo Nordisk because they seem to be doing quite a lot of short webinars this semester, which they're calling Day on the Job. And those are in different parts of their business. They're also doing a session on what to put into a CV, a cover letter, or what makes you stand out at interviews. So again, a useful way to get tips from the inside if you're thinking about making applications this year. And also, if you're thinking about other areas of work and thinking, well, what is it? You know, maybe you've contemplated marketing but aren't quite sure what it involves, then THG, the Hook Group, who are a large online retailer, are running a session which explains what marketing really is. So here's some examples of things you'll find on CareerConnect, which allow you to connect with employers and research ideas that might be of interest to you. The other big ticket event this semester is the Autumn Careers Fair. So this takes place in Whitworth Hall, very handy for Stopford, on the 22nd and the 23rd of October. This is the sister event to the STEM affair that happened last week. So this is aimed at non-STEM internships and placements, but there are an awful lot of STEM recruiters at that event. So it's really worth you going along. There's a whole range of companies. I've picked some out here. Sometimes they're looking to target people into their business areas of their organisation, but you can still have a chat with them if you're thinking about STEM roles as well. So here's some organisations that are coming. We've got lots of food businesses on campus at the moment. Mondelez are coming, and Kraft, Unilever, big consumer goods companies. I also noticed that Unifar are coming too. They are a health business. So again, going to a fair can be a good opportunity to find out about lots of employers all at once and to help you to decide if there's anything there that you want to take forward into a placement as well. If you are interested in law careers, the law fair happens on the 12th of November as well, and there's a number of Manchester bioscience graduates who've got into law careers after they graduated as well. So again, there's still events happening for you to go and talk to these employers if you're looking to apply for one of the big internship programs. Now, these are the only programs, these are just the ones where employers are coming on campus. As I said, go straight to the source, look at the organisations themselves, look on LinkedIn, and again, you'll find all their opportunities advertised there as well. So I wanted to give you some examples of ones that you might apply for. So in recent years, we've had a couple of our undergraduate students who've done the internship in the vaccines plant at Liverpool. And I just thought I'd just give you a little bit of a taster of what those students did. So Ashley and Alessandra both did placements with AstraZeneca. Now, this opportunity is advertised every year. Last year, it was advertised in November. According to their website, they're going to open for applications in December, but you could just keep an eye on it. We also advertise this one as well through the Career Service. But again, if you're thinking about research, but maybe you want industrial experience, because you're maybe not doing it industrial placement, but still want to get that external experience, then this could be a great one to go for. And if you look at the kind of experience that Ashley and Alessandra had, the kind of techniques they picked up, when you go into the big companies, you get to play with all their expensive pieces of kit, or at least see them in action, as well as brushing up on your experimental design, your statistical and data handling skills, and getting real insight into what a career in R&D might be like in industry. And to show you where it might take you, Alessandra is now doing a PhD at Sheffield University, and Ashley went on to do a Master's in Genomic Medicine at Oxford University as well. So it would be great if we could get more bioscience graduates in Manchester doing this placement, and to kind of keep that Mexican wave of internships going. So I'm just going to pause for a second just to see if we have any questions that have come through, or any advice or comments that Lani or Will want to chip in.
Yeah, Suzanne, I was gonna say something. So after you had mentioned all of the resources that you give to the students to help, so you've got the CareerConnect, and you've got the careers department that the students can go and visit all the time, and the on-day, on-campus fairs, and the online webinars as well. I think for a student that's looking to get some work experience, it's easy to sit at home and look at all these resources and not really do anything about it, even though they know in their head that they can kind of tell what kind of things they're going to hear at these talks, and what they're going to hear when we do these online support talks as well. But I think what all the students should try and do really is to get the ball rolling. So you have literally so many resources, sometimes too many in a way, to get started on, all the ones we've mentioned so far. But if everyone can just, dip their toes into each one, start going to those on-campus days, use CareerConnect, like it's there for a reason. Go and meet a careers advisor. These are all things that I think if you start to do, you're literally just ticking boxes. And if you tick enough boxes to, play the game, really, eventually your luck will strike. So I just think it's really important that everyone kind of gets the ball rolling, is because I feel like, everyone here are very intelligent students, but it's all about getting started and doing actually executing. So yeah, just start to tick those boxes, and it doesn't matter which resource you use a little bit of all of them. You never know when, your luck is going to turn. And I honestly think if you keep plugging away, you can't lose. So do use all of the resources. I remember I did at the time, even though I kind of thought like, is it worth it? Surely most people can just see an opportunity online, apply for it, and get the job. But it's not until now I understand that in hindsight, looking back, it's really just the attempting to, stick your foot in and talk to people and collect an email here and, collect more advice there. And then eventually your luck will turn. So that's all I want to add there.
That's a great point, Will. And that's the thing. I speak to so many students who say, well, I could apply for these, but what's the point? It's going to be competitive. I'm not going to get it. It's like, you are one of the people other people are competing against. You're at Manchester Uni. They don't let just anybody in here. And to try and just kind of put that little voice at the back of your head, and just have a go.
Exactly.
Okay. So doing this allows you to be a good candidate and be visible. Employers can't recruit you if they don't know who you are. So engage with employers, reach out to them, talk to people who work there, find them on LinkedIn, you know, and find out a bit more about what they do, what they enjoy about it, what's involved, because that'll allow you to, first of all, match your motivation, but also match the things you're doing this year to that placement as well. Understanding the recruitment process, you know, making sure that you share that effectively when you put your applications together. And this is something we can help you with. Okay, so that's the first one I wanted to talk about, was the formal internships. And I want to talk about the summer research studentships and bursaries, because these are ACE. Okay, so what these are, they fall into two camps. There's ones where you do it in a research organisation, and there's ones where you get a bursary to do a project with a principal investigator or member of academic staff or project leader. So the first one is the internship type, where you actually go to the organisation itself. So the organisation advertises for a 8 or 10-week placement. Often they advertise these in November through to March. Predominantly they're aimed at pre-final year students, penultimate year students, but some of them will be flexible. It's less likely you'll get on them as a first year, but bookmark these for next year. And actually there's one I'm going to highlight to first years in the room today, which you had to apply for in July before second year. So I'm going to make sure you all get a chance to apply for that one. So these could be in research institutes, it could be in university research groups. Often these are linked to doctoral colleges. So the Doctoral College here at Manchester University has internships for you to do research projects over the summer. It can be in the UK, it can be overseas. So what do you need to do to find them? So we have done all the hard work for you, because on the SBS intranet, I created and we maintain the mega list of these opportunities. And I spent Sunday afternoon updating it to make sure it is perfectly updated for you today. And I'm going to show you that page in a minute, so you know to go and have a look at it. There's other places you can look too, but that is one collected source where you can find out about these opportunities. And I'm going to show them to you in a moment. Okay, so that's the first type, where you do the internship in the organisation. And I wanted to highlight this one to you in particular. So there's a scheme called Mitacs Globalink, and the applications are partly managed through the Go Abroad unit at the University of Manchester. And if you're successful, you get to spend the summer in Canada in a university of the calibre of McGill. And this is Ananya here. Ananya was hoping to join us today, but unfortunately she has to do a part-time job. So she wanted to tell you a bit about what she did. So you have to apply for this in July, so before you get back in second year. So this is an opportunity for you who are first years, or any MSci students, any second year MSci students in the room. Again, you have time to apply for this. So Ananya, she did a project related to a mouse model, and she really got a lot out of it because it was her first experience in an academic lab. She got to practice different techniques. It helped her to decide that a PhD was for her. And yes, it is quite a big step, isn't it, going across the world for an internship? But she found it quite scary but exciting to spend time in Montreal, got to explore the city. It's funded as well. Did I say it's funded? And she said the application process isn't difficult at all. You've just got to do it. So first years, second year MSci, then the Mitacs programme is something to have on your radar. And definitely if you think about, are interested in maybe studying overseas next summer. Okay, so the other type of experience are the bursary ones. So the way that these tend to work is there's lots of learner societies in sciences, and particularly around biological sciences. And what these societies do is each year they offer bursaries for undergraduate students to undertake a project over the summer to tempt you into going on to PhD research. And there are lots of these. The Physiological Society, for example, one year had 40 funded bursary places. Some other organisations might have 8, some might have 1 or 2. But these are a great opportunity for you to get that research experience. These might be funding summer research, but might also be funding independent field work as well. Some are quite flexible in terms of what they fund. You often apply for these around about December through to April, but some are earlier. Some you can actually apply at different times in the year. That's common for the fieldwork grant types of project. Again, mostly aimed at penultimate year students, but some of these are also open to postgraduates as well. Predominantly, you might be allied to a university research group, occasionally with external organisations. So the way to find them is to look for the learned societies relevant to your areas of interest. And I'm going to show you this list now so you can see that we've done all the hard work for you. So if you go onto the University Careers Service website and choose which career, go down to science and then go into scientific work, there is a link here to the intranet. And when you go into the intranet, it shows you, unless it's logged me out, this page here. And on here is the motherload of opportunities for you as biological science students. There's nowhere near as many of these for physics or chemistry, geology. You know, we're very, very lucky. So these are the schemes that you can apply for. So what I've done is I've updated for this year or told you what the date was last year, because some of them don't update it until about 3 weeks before they open for applications. So these are some of the ones. So applying to a research institution, so Amgen, where you can do this in different parts of the country. And when we did this talk last year, we had one of our returning students who did this summer before last. There's the Black in Plant Science Summer Studentship, Child Health Appeal Trust, where you go to London to do it, the Crit Cavella Summer Studentship. There's one in Switzerland, if you quite fancy that. And again, we've had students who've been successful getting onto this programme. There's some at Cambridge University here. This one's fully funded and you get accommodation. There's the ICM programme in Edinburgh. Those of you who came to the talk in Welcome Week, this is what Elizabeth applied for. There's one in Israel. There's one in the Midlands. There's the Mitacs one I mentioned before. There's one in Japan. So plenty of opportunity here. So these are the ones where you go somewhere to do it. There's also these Wellcome Trust biomedical vacation scholarships. The one at Edinburgh falls into this category. And these are available all across the country. Okay, so that's the first lot. And then there's some other schemes. There's this one here to look out for, the Interscience programme. It's not launched yet for next year, but this could be another one for first years to look out for, which is a scheme that goes through the year, but also includes a summer internship. And then you've got these ones here, which offer a bursary. And I mean, we've not into the B's yet. You can see how many there are. So I suggest all of you have a good look through this list and see if there's something on here that ties in with your interests. I've checked all the URLs. They all worked yesterday. But again, great way to find proper full-on work experience. And in some cases, you can't apply for these if you're doing a placement year, because they really want to get those people who, you know, will benefit most from these opportunities to get that experience to help you to make that next step. What do you need to do if you're going to apply for these? Most of them will ask for some kind of application form. Now, if you're applying for the bursary ones, what you have to do is find yourself a supervisor. It won't be advertised as an opportunity. It's up to you to find someone who researches in your area of interest and then approach them to see whether they will support you as a student, and then together you make an application for it. Now, what I would do is look to see who's had the funding in the past to identify the university departments who might host you as a student next year. This is an example of some of the application form questions you might have to fill in that you complete and the supervisor also complete. So again, it's a good time now to get your head around this so you're ready to pounce on these come November and December. The other type of getting work experience opportunity could be the do-it-yourself route. So I know students in the past who've approached researchers themselves to see whether there's opportunities to get work experience in their labs over the summer. Sometimes they get a couple of weeks unpaid. Occasionally they find someone with some money in the PhD budget that they can actually use to help to support you to get that experience. So again, it's always worth looking for opportunities, but also looking for things yourself, because you might approach someone speculatively and found that for the last 3 years, they've been supporting students via the Physiological Society studentship programme. So do be led by your interests. So you can do this at any time of the year. And so think about where you want to apply. Maybe talk to researchers in the university to get ideas. Maybe talk to researchers in different universities to get ideas. And as I said, if you are going to be doing something for a couple of weeks or a couple of days and it's unpaid, then please consider applying for the Work Experience Bursary Scheme when it opens early next year, because that will allow you to travel to complete that work experience. Okay, so you've decided that you really want to find yourself a supervisor for the summer so you can bag one of these bursaries. What do you need to do? You need to think about how you can present yourself in a positive way to potential supervisors. So how do you find supervisors? My top tip is to look for advertised PhD projects and maybe speak to the PhD students to find out if they had any students in the lab over the summer before you approach the main lab researcher. And certainly if you're a little bit shy about doing that, that could be a way in through postgrad demonstrators and PhD students. Look to see where the funding is. That might give clues to people who've done this in the past. It could be via papers. It could be through lectures. Maybe there's some lectures you really particularly enjoy, you know, talking to the researchers afterwards, people in their group can maybe allow you to find potential supervisors. Look for them on University of Manchester, where they've got the staff profiles. Look for them on LinkedIn, look on ResearchGate. But what you have to do is by the same token, is show them why you might be a good student as well, that you're going to be easy to manage, that you're keen, that you're engaged, that you've done your research. It works both ways because you're going to get the experience, but what are they going to get for the summer as well? It's important to see it from their perspective. So why this placement? Why this research? What do you hope to gain? So think about what you're doing this year. Think about your EDMs, your RSMs, your projects, the modules you're choosing. Think about your future aspirations. Think about the practical experience you've got so far. Are you doing quite well in labs? Have you got some good marks for your lab reports? What techniques and equipment are you familiar with? And look at the vacancy itself. Is it looking for people who are aspiring to be PhDs or people who might have no experience at all? How does the vacancy fit your application? And spend some time doing that well. Okay, so I'm just going to pause a second and just to see if there's any questions and whether there's any tidbits that Lani and Will might want to add. Lani in particular, for example, thinking about, you know, working with a researcher over the summer, what kind of things do you think you could tell a supervisor to make them feel that you'll be a good student for the summer?
I think my advice would be, because I remember when I was applying and I personally didn't have any real research experience or anything like that. I think most students would fall into that category of not really having much experience before. And I would honestly just say, speak about what you've learned at university, because that is sort of your main experience. And I remember I spoke and I wrote actually on my application a lot about the modules I'd done, you know, grades I'd got done well in, all the transferable skills from just my studies. And then obviously the main thing that everyone says is just show that you're interested, little snippets of bits that would just show that you know about the topic, or, you know, you've done extra research around or anything like that would show you're interested. Is going to really impress, you know, a supervisor and, you know, anyone that's you're applying to.
That's great advice, because you talk to researchers beforehand, you get a feel about what it might be like to be in their research group over the summer. That's why it's good to talk to the PhD students. Is it a happy lab? Or you're going to spend 3 weeks being miserable? You know, you see demonstrators all the time. They're in labs with you, know. Ask them about their research. Ask them about their projects. Other people might not do that. You know, they go home at night and I can bet the partners won't ask them about it. And from that, you might, you know, they might say, well, have you thought about doing this? Or when I was a student, I did that. Or you could be cheeky and say, well, I know it's a bit cheeky, but I'm just wondering, do you ever have students in your lab over the summer? Because I'd love to find out a bit more about your research. It sounds really fascinating. And just, as Will said, talk to people, you know, let them know what you're looking for.
Could I add something? I was just saying from a more industry point of view, our company love it when the students really read the website. And I say that knowing that all of you have heard that before, right? Obviously read the website, but you'd be really surprised how many applicants don't. And there are some key things that you can find on the website, especially about what is our pipeline, for example. What are the drugs that we're making? These like simple things that I'm sure come clear to all of you. If you understand, you know, what we actually do, what is our tangible product, that can really give you a leverage on many people, because it's easy to think that you're applying for something that is super competitive, but it doesn't take, you know, many steps to push you to the top half of that pile. And also, from like a cover letter point of view, I remember not having much experience when I wrote my cover letters. And when I was preparing for interviews, how would I answer these questions if I didn't know how to do any lab skills? It wasn't until, you know, I'd done my master's, I actually managed to get some lab skills. And even if they're not the ones that the position you're applying for, those, you know, they're looking for different lab skills. What you can at least do is use your theoretical knowledge. So I'm sure you're all getting, you know, pretty good grades, and you can use that as an excuse to show that I've got conceptual understanding of the lab skill that they're looking for. And if you have learned another skill, for example, that you can then use that as proof that you can learn skills quickly, you know. So you can say, I've learned another skill, however, I haven't learned your skill. However, I can prove that I know about your skill and I know what it means. Therefore, it's very likely that I'm going to be able to, you know, execute on your skill instantly when you arrive there on your first day. And like Suzanne was saying, it's really important for you to be truthfully honest that you believe you can, you know, have a positive impact from the first day you're there. You know, you want to make sure that you're helping them as much as they're helping you. It can't be just one way.
Thanks, Will. That's a great point. So I'm just going to move on to the next section, which is about organising your own, which is what Will did, and he shared at the start about the process that he went through. And so the concept of career is called planned happenstance, which is almost like making your own luck. And it's really important that you tell people what you're interested in and talk to people, because sometimes that lead for that work experience might come from the most unexpected source. I can bet that Will, when you went to that nightclub, didn't expect at the end of it to come away with a hot lead for work experience. So tell people what you're doing, what you're interested in, because then they might spot something that you might miss. So take advantage of that and really support each other. Okay, so how do you find your own opportunities? I think the first thing is, and the biggest message that I can teach you about job hunting is that there's two approaches. It's being active and being passive. Being passive is finding opportunities which are being advertised. They might be online, careers fairs, but obvious jobs you can see that you can apply for. And for goodness sake, if you see those jobs, apply for them, because somebody's got to get them, and why not you? But if you want to really increase your hit rate, be proactive at the same time as well. Think about what it is you want to do. Look to see if you can find opportunities in organisations who do that, because when you find those sites, you might find them advertising. But what you might also do is think about approaching them speculatively as well. So those two approaches to job hunting, when you run them in tandem, work really well. You might have a good conversation with somebody as a result of proactive job hunting, which helps you with an application for a formal internship, and vice versa. And that's how you find these hidden jobs when you're looking for them. This, for example, was on a website not so long ago. We're not currently hiring. However, if you feel you've got something unique to offer, and to be honest, we're all unique individuals, aren't we? Then get in touch. We're always interested to talk to highly skilled people in our field, and for the right person, a role will be created. And the other thing to tell you as well is that we have a Biosciences Careers Fair after Christmas. At that event, was it last year? Could have been last year. I spoke to a company there and said, oh, I'm just wondering, do you have internships for students? And they said, well, do you know, it's the one thing we want to get organised doing, but we never get around to it. But so when people approach us, we do try and fit them in. So just because they're not advertising doesn't mean they're not going to think about it. But what you need to do is think about what your value proposition is. How can you be useful? How can you show that you'll be an asset that summer? Because they want to help you because you're a student, but they won't want to hold your hand every single step of the way. They need to show that you've got something to offer in return. So resources for creative job search, 2 places to look. On our website, where I showed you that link to that list of research bursaries, is some general information on job hunting as a bioscientist, and it includes a link to the Bioscience Job Hunting Resources microsite, which has got lots of suggestions on places to look to find companies, whether they're research organisations, clinical trials companies, biotech companies, lots of good ways to sniffle those companies out in that resource. One of those resources, the Biofarm Guy site. This has been going for donkey's years. It's a bit like a labour of love site for one individual, but it's a really useful database of life science businesses by specialism across the world. So again, a great way to try and find employers, organisations, and also look at our job hunting strategies page on our website. And that also includes on that page an example speculative letter. So if you're going to write to someone direct, what do you say to make them think that you might be a good placement student for over the summer? Okay, so 2 good places to look if you're going to do it yourself. So if you're making a spec approach to somebody, they weren't expecting your call, they weren't expecting you to write, what do you say? So first of all, who do you approach? 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be someone in human resources, human relations, personnel. It's going to be someone who heads up the lab in which you want to work, because they know if there's capacity for you. They know when they look at your CV, how your skills might fit into what they do. They're the ones who are going to be managing you at the end of the day, so you want to go to that person first. Think about the barriers. They're going to think, who are you? Why are you writing to me? What are you expecting? Why should I take you seriously? So bang, bang, bang. In your cover letter, you need to address those concerns. You found them because you were looking at companies who are working in a particular area of biotech, came across their products, got very interested, and then were curious about finding out if they had opportunities for work experience. Why them in particular? Because you noticed on LinkedIn that they head up that department, you know? So tell them how you found them, because that cements your motivation, that you're not just scattergunning 50 employers at once. Talk about your practical experience. What can you offer? And, oh, yes, you might not have covered many techniques yet, but hopefully by now you're getting a good understanding of good laboratory practice, health and safety, how to run an experiment, how to document an experiment, how to do some data handling, how to make a nice chart. You've got skills there which could be useful in their laboratory. And the behaviours that these employers look for, can you learn quickly? You know, have you got good attention to detail? Did you check your spelling on your letter or your CV? Can you work without being constantly supervised? Can you solve problems? Do you get on with people? Are you reliable? Have you had a job before? Those kind of things give indications that you might be able to fit in to their organisation without too much of an induction to enable you to make the most of a summer work experience placement. So to find out who to contact, talk to people you meet who are doing the things you're interested in. That could be attending events on campus. It could be sessions that are run in your school. So Biological Sciences runs a Meet the Bioscience Graduate session in November. It could be coming to our careers fairs and workshops. You've all met Will this evening. Look at job adverts 2 ways. If you see a job and think, I could apply for that, but it's a graduate job or I don't have 5 years experience, in the advert will be a contact name for that job. Contact them. I noticed you're currently recruiting for a graduate level scientist. I'm currently in my 2nd year of my biomedical science degree at Manchester, and I'm wondering if you have any opportunities for work experience this summer. Okay, a great way to find the right person, and that works like a dream on the NHS jobs website if you want to find the right names of people for work experience. Look up company profiles on LinkedIn and see who works for them. Look at the names of people in reports, in articles, in the newspapers, in other sources online, and think about the big picture. If you want to work in the NHS, getting high volume work experience makes a big difference, and certainly if you're going to be aiming for things like the scientist training programme. So not all NHS diagnostics takes place in NHS labs. A lot get outsourced to organisations like Eurofins and Viapath. Look for the companies who manufacture lab consumables and equipment, you know. Start with an organisation and think about the other organisations which are in that environment. The other way to get work experience as well could be through volunteering. We've got a really good volunteering team at the university. They've got a volunteering hub. You can go and find opportunities on there, particularly helpful if you want to work in health roles, if you want to get patient experience, working with people with health conditions. lots of ways to get involved via volunteering, sometimes opportunities which are hard to access without doing it on a voluntary basis. Another thing to highlight to you are projects run out of the volunteering team, like Team Rwanda. You know, we have students each year who apply for this in biosciences. This could be an opportunity for you next year to go out there to Africa, work on a live project with students at the University of Rwanda, and to put something on your CV that makes you stand out, but also perhaps, you know, increase your kind of awareness and expectations of what your opportunities might be. So funding work experience, I just wanted to highlight to you this work experience bursary scheme. This will launch probably February time in 2025. We get given a pot of money from the alumni team, which we then hand out in little chunks to students who are doing work experience outside of their course programme. So placement students, you can't use this to fund a 12-month placement, but if you're organising summer work experience, which isn't part of your programme, you can apply for the bursary to help fund it. There's also on our website a page which talks about other travel awards and global impact awards that you can apply for to help to fund your experience. This is Jessica. She's a medical biochemist. Because she applied for the work experience bursary, it meant that she could cover accommodation costs to undertake work experience in the summer, which helped her to get experience for her PhD application. And yeah, sometimes it's hard to get paid work. It depends what you want to do. If it's in a charitable organisation, they might have the funding, but I would ask you all to be aware of your rights when it comes to unpaid work. You know, a couple of days might be fine, you both benefit. If it's a long period of time, I would perhaps have a think about what you're getting out of it and what they're getting out of it and make decisions accordingly. Okay, so places to look for work experience. You should all be over social media, given your generation. LinkedIn, brilliant way to find out about work experience opportunities, to find graduates and to find out where current students got their work experience. You want to put together a profile, you need to connect people to make it work. Lots of advice on our website about how to use LinkedIn. There is a similar network called ResearchGate, which is for academic staff. You know, I've known students who've used that in the past to find out potential supervisors and people to talk to. And Insta, you know, and X, lots of recruitment organisations, you know, to engage with potential staff, promote their recruitment programmes on social media, not just on their websites as well. So really good to engage with them via these mechanisms to find out about their opportunities. So we can give you lots of support with this. We've got on-demand support on pathways, lots of in-person support. And this is the team that supports you, a biological science student, and that's the link tree to find our contact details. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stop the slides and we're just going to finish just by asking if we've got any questions that haven't been answered by the talk today. Claudia, do we have any questions that have come up that we need to deal with?
Yes, we do have a question. One is, are they internships offered during the winter as well as the summer?
That's a good question, and they sometimes are. It's less likely for full-on work experience to happen over the winter vacation and Easter because it's not a lot of time. Some of the organisations that might be able to accommodate that might be if you're doing something called work shadowing, where you're just kind of watching and observing what happens. I know that some medcoms companies in the past are able to accommodate that if you ask them. Havas Links in a lecture theatre once said that if you approach them and if there's something going on they think will be of interest, you know, to a student, they might be able to accommodate you through the year as well. So it's always worth asking.
Yep. So the chat has been very active actually. So thank you for all of your questions. Another question that we've had is about opportunities for master's students as well, internships and also gaining work experience.
Okay, so the way it works in the UK is most of the formal internship opportunities tend to be aimed at pre-final year students, but sometimes they will think about applications from graduates as well, or people finishing their master's programme. What you need to be aware of if you are looking for work experience during your master's program is first of all the time that you have available to do it, and also that you're likely to have to take a direct speculative approach to make this happen. What you might want to try and do, for example, is maybe approach some research groups to see if there's any capacity there for you to support with some activities on research projects. Again, maybe try by talking to some PhD students first of all, but it can be quite difficult to find formal experience. It's not how it works in the UK. As I said, you know, if you have got any questions which aren't answered by today's session, you can come and talk to us individually through our guidance careers meetings program. We also have a monthly drop-in dope with Claudia on the first Tuesday of the month, where you can just come and talk to us individually as well if you've got questions to ask. The approach I take though is to try the speculative approach, because it's less likely to find a formal one. It's more likely to be informal. If you've got lots of experience before you started your masters, you could try looking for recruitment agencies, temping agencies, but you really need to think about the time you have to fit in your masters requirements and your working requirements. And also if you're an international student, take into account the hours that you're allowed to work as well during term time. You don't want to kind of find you've got no time to eat or sleep. I hope you found it useful, everybody, and thank you so much to Alana and to Will for coming along today and to showing you what's possible. You know, this could be you. I could have you on this call this time next year, telling everybody about the wonderful things you've been doing. The opportunities are out there. Please have confidence. Please apply for them. If you've got any questions about applications, you're not quite sure what to apply for, don't sit there worrying. Come and talk to somebody about it. And as Will said, have a go. Put yourself out there. Think about what you can do. And fingers crossed, everybody, you'll get some work experience sorted.